There comes a time in everyone's life where we must face the truth. But what is the truth? Did existence really begin with the Big Bang? Is what we've been taught in our history books some sort of fictional reality? It's hard to find the truth in a world full of lies. However, we do have the strength within us to find the truth, to unveil it, and present it to the world for what it really is. It's your world, your reality, your truth. Hello everybody, welcome to Unveiling the Truth. You're watching episode number 26 of Unveiling the Truth, the worldwide cancer scheme. And yes, this is something I'm very passionate about, something I've wanted to cover for quite a while now, but because of the guests I've had on and other subjects that I've tried to cover, I didn't get a chance to getting to this, but I have always discussed the cancer and medical scheme, as I like to call it, for quite some time now in my documentary films, as well as with other guests, as well as just day-to-day talking with friends and family and stuff. It's always something that I like to talk about because it's so important. The reason why it's so important, actually, is because health and safety is number one. Without your health, without your safety, we wouldn't be alive. I mean, we wouldn't have anything in this world. We'd be dead. So that's why it's so important to take care of your health and make sure that you are taking care of your body and you're not harming it, as well as safety. And the reason why I say safety is because we need protection from harmful elements. And without that protection, it's very hard to be healthy because you are at risk of getting sick. Now, I wanted to go through a couple things before I really dig deep into the cancer scheme. I guess I'd like to start by giving people an update on what I've been up to lately, as I always do. I've been really busy lately doing the March of Freedom episodes. I just posted episode 3 today, actually. That is now online for your viewing pleasure. So the first 3 episodes of March of Freedom are now online on YouTube. You can watch them at any time for free. Just check out Unveiling the Truth on YouTube and you'll be able to find those episodes on there. And that's been consuming a lot of my time, as well as computer problems. I've definitely had a lot of computer problems from doing this kind of research and making these kind of videos. Anomalies, I would like to call them, because they don't happen to everybody else. They seem to be selective in who they happen to, and the errors that I have documented on video and recorded are definitely strange. I've never seen them before. Nobody else that I know has seen those messages before, so it is kind of strange that happens. But to get to the point, my computer's been crashing like crazy lately. I'm not sure what's going on, but when I save videos after I'm done a broadcast, I'll put the text on there and add the overlays and stuff, and then when I start to save the video, my whole computer will crash. So I have to keep restarting. And anybody who's into video editing knows that it takes hours to render videos and save videos. For me to save one broadcast of Unveiling the Truth, it takes me 20 hours of saving the video. I have to save it in 4 sections, half-hour parts, since it's a 2-hour show. I split it in 4 half-hour sections, and each half-hour section takes about 4 hours to save. So that gives you an idea of how long I'm in front of the computer saving, rendering, and as a result, I haven't got a lot of sleep. And this is something that's been affecting me for quite a while now. I mean, for the last decade or so, I haven't really slept at the normal hours per se. And after doing some research into this in the last month or so, I've discovered that I may have what they call circadian rhythmic disorder, which isn't anything bad or anything. It just means that you have the biological clock of an owl rather than, let's just say, the birds and the bees. Because I've always stayed up pretty late. That's one thing. But I've essentially taken that one step further by not sleeping at all. So I've got severe insomnia pretty much going on where I don't sleep. So that's a health concern that I've had to deal with in the last month or so. In fact, I'm no longer working at my job because I couldn't get up in the morning to get to work because my body doesn't shut down until about 4 in the morning naturally. So I've actually had to go see doctors about this. And I hate doctors. I'm not going to say I hate doctors because I don't hate doctors. I hate the industry. That's what I hate. And I have this fear, and I've had this fear for a while now, of doctors. I mean, I don't want to go to the doctors. I don't want them taking my blood. I don't want them having my blood on file. I mean, that's why I very, very, very rarely go to doctors. And anybody who has seen the March of Freedom show so far will know that I'd never even seen a doctor when I had severe infection in my foot. So that goes to show you how skeptical I am of the medical industry. A lot of times you'll go in to see a doctor and they'll just want to push pills down your throat and prescribe you medication because they're endorsed or sponsored by these companies that are giving them bonuses for the prescriptions that they're giving you. So I've always had this fear against doctors and going to see the doctor, but in the last month I've had to go to a lab to get blood work done because of the sleeping issues and all that. And I've done some investigation on that, which I'll be discussing in this broadcast very momentarily, which kind of relates to the cancer scheme of things. I'll tie that in as best I can for you guys to make it as easily explainable. And also, I wanted to mention to you guys that I'm doing a contest today. I'll be giving away a copy of Eye of the Illuminati in the chat room. I'll be asking a question later on. And I also have a second one, the James Holmes Conspiracy. I'll be giving that DVD out as well. So there's 2 DVDs, two prizes today that I'll be giving away on the show today. So stay tuned in the chat room for me to respond. I'm sorry I haven't got there yet. I'm still talking about this stuff. So I'm going to be giving those 2 DVDs away on the broadcast. So usually what I do when I give away a prize is I ask a question. Whoever answers it first in the chat room, I'll mail them a DVD. All you got to do is contact me to my email and give me your shipping address, and I'll get that out to you. There's been a couple winners before that got DVDs of mine, so it's always good to have a little incentive to tune in to Unveiling the Truth. Not only are you learning something, or maybe not learning something, maybe you already know this stuff, but you also have a chance to win a DVD. So getting back to what I was talking about the doctors and my testing, I'm just going to lay it on the line here because I don't mind sharing personal information. I know a lot of broadcasters or people out there that are involved with this kind of stuff are very personal. They don't let their own personal information out to their viewers or their fans or their supporters, but I like to be as transparent as possible, which is why I don't mind talking to you guys about this, and I don't mind the world knowing about this either, because I've got nothing to hide. I'm not doing this for nefarious purposes or anything like that. I just want to get the truth out, and I want there to be a level of understanding between myself and the viewer. So I think that when a broadcaster is very personal with his viewers or her viewers, I think that there's a connection made there, not a physical, real connection. It is obviously a digital connection, I guess you could say. But at the same time, this is me sitting here live right now at 10 minutes after 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And wherever you are in the world, if you're tuning in live, I got to thank you guys for tuning in to the show today. So with the doctors and stuff, I went in and I got my blood work done, and they said everything is fine. They said I'm 100% healthy. They said for my age, it's crazy. I mean, the blood came back with nothing, no deficiencies, nothing. And I was kind of weirded out by that, because I don't eat a lot, and that was news to me. I thought there'd be at least some sort of deficiency, iron, vitamin B12, something along there, but there was nothing. There was no sicknesses, diseases, viruses, illnesses, nothing. And it kind of shocked me, because throughout my life I've been pretty hard on my body. I haven't lived the healthiest lifestyles, especially when I was touring with the band. After the show you drink a bunch of beers, you get drunk, you eat whatever you could find. You go to the pizza store, you just, that's what I was doing for many, many years. And actually, when I was homeless, when I was 17, and again when I was in my 20s, I wasn't eating good at all. I mean, I remember one time I lived in Coniston and I had no food at all, but I had a friend who worked at Tim Hortons, and if I went there towards the end of her shift, she would give me a garbage bag full of donuts, and these were all day old, and that's what I survived on for, like, I'd say a good month or two. And anybody who knew me at that time can verify that fact. My friend Justin in my band, he lived in Coniston. He would come over all the time and see a big bag of donuts in my kitchen, but I couldn't afford to eat. I mean, I was working at a part-time, well, it was a full-time job at a call center, but I was making minimum wage, and my wages were down. I couldn't afford to go out and buy a steak dinner or buy, organic, GMO-free food, which is very expensive. So I had to eat what I could, and what I could eat was free donuts, because that's what it was, right? And because of all this, I would say, neglect to my body when I was younger, I could have swore that there would be something wrong with me, that I'd be sick or ill in some sort of way, but turns out everything's good. So the reason why I had to get the blood work done is just to verify and to get, just to make sure that it wasn't anything, internal or biological that was causing me not to sleep. So now that that's ruled out, we go to the next step. They're actually referring me to a sleep expert, which I'll be talking to hopefully in the next couple of weeks, just to, talk to him about some things. But I don't think they really want to talk to me that much, because I'm pretty aware of what's going on. In fact, I'm a very independent researcher type person. When I learn about something or there's something wrong with me, I like to go online. I like to read books. I like to look this stuff for up for myself, rather than going to a doctor and have them tell me what their professional opinion is. And the reason why is because I find that there's always a better route when you know and you go to the doctors with some information beforehand. And I called Telehealth Canada when I didn't sleep for 4 or 5 days in a row, and catatonia was set in, and I was, my moods are affected. When you don't sleep for extended periods of times, your mood's affected. And with all this adding up and just having to go to work in the morning and not sleeping, not sleeping all night, then going to work for an 8-hour shift, then taking an hour and a half bus ride back home, it really runs your body down. It really does. And that's why I figured, I should go see a doctor about this to figure out why I'm not sleeping. And I think I might have figured out some of the reasons why, at least an attributing factor to the reason why I'm not sleeping, which I'll get into in a minute. But this sleep expert, maybe they'll say that I have circadian rhythmic disorder, because that, based on my research, that's what I've been able to figure out. So I think the point I'm trying to say here is, I know a lot of my viewers out there are very skeptical of their doctors, or any doctor really. Some of them probably don't even go. I'm definitely one of them. I go only when I have to, only when I know there's something really, really wrong. And when you don't sleep for months on end, I sleep every second day for only a few hours. That's the way it's been for a while now, and that's why I want to figure this out. Now, I've tried to drink teas, I've tried to take natural remedies and stuff like that, but even teas that are meant to make you sleepy don't work. I mean, exercise, I go outside, I get fresh air, I do all the things that they recommend. And even Telehealth Canada, when I called them, it seemed like they were reading from a textbook, because I was researching all this stuff before I called them, and the responses they gave back to me were straight out of a textbook. And I even said that to her on the phone. I'm like, it sounds like you're reading out of a textbook. You're telling me the exact same things that I've already read online. So that was an interesting experience, but hopefully I'll find out in the next couple weeks why I'm not sleeping for sure. I mean, whether the doctor will admit it or not is another question, another story. I refuse to stay overnight and be hooked up to any machines, because I don't trust the medical industry. I will not take any pills or medication, especially with high amounts of fluoride in it or any other chemical composition. I will only take natural substances. And when I got the blood work done and it came back perfect, 100%, that I believe can be attributed to the change in my lifestyle in the last couple years. First off, I fast a lot, and I'll eat every second day, every third day sometimes, and that happens quite a bit, actually. So because of that, I believe what my body is doing is it's breaking down everything that I've consumed. Anything that I put in my body gets broken down by my body, and my body is producing these vitamins and minerals on its own without any external influence. So that's a key, I think, to what is going on in my body. If you don't put something in your body doesn't need to fight it to get rid of it. And if you do put something in your body and you fast, your body will eat all of that substance that you put in your body, and when it doesn't have anything else after that, your body will actually start breaking down everything in your body. It'll look for things to consume to get these vitamins and nutrients that it's needed, and when it doesn't have that, your body will produce it on its own. And there's something called breatharianism out there for anybody who's aware of that, and that's where you don't eat. I've checked out online. I've seen a story of a guy who didn't eat for, I think it was 60 or 70 years. Didn't eat for that long, and he's fine. He's healthy, apparently. Scientists are doing tests on this guy because they're blown away by this. How could a guy live for 60 or 70 years without eating anything? Well, we're always taught things that usually aren't true, actually. And that's in textbooks, in your schools, in the history books. We've been lied to for a long time, folks. And that's what I'm trying to get out here is the truth. So that's what I think is going on. That's why my body is healthy despite all the neglect and just being hard on myself for all these years. I think that's why I'm a bit healthy. I'm really healthy, actually, is because my body is producing these things naturally. There's no deficiencies because of that, and because of eating less is good. I mean, I know a lot of people out there that just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and it's habit. It's habitual eating. And when you do that and you get into that process, A, you gain weight, B, you become unhealthy. And those are factors. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are sick because of this, because they just eat and eat and eat, or they're stressed out and they need to eat. And anybody who's looked into any of the food issues or anything like that, even the water issues, there's so many carcinogens out there. There's tons of carcinogens. Almost everything, I would say, is a carcinogen nowadays. I'm not going to say everything. I'm not going to say, the chair that I'm sitting on or the table here is carcinogenic. No, I'm talking about things you put in your body. Now, the carcinogens enter your body through air, through food, or through water, and also through energy waves, which I'll get into in a minute. So a lot of people are, going to the store every weekend. They buy a bunch of potato chips. They buy pop. They buy all this junk food or whatever, and then they just eat and eat. And their body becomes sick eventually because of that, because they're not taking care of themselves, and they're just putting a lot of bad stuff in their body. And eventually, over time, you will have health risks. In fact, I had a friend who was at my job, the previous job that I worked at, and she was telling me her oncologist, which is a cancer expert, by the way, her oncologist said that if you're eating processed food, it's not a matter of if I will get cancer, it's when will you get cancer. So that's important right there. If you're eating processed food, you're going to increase the chances of you getting cancer very significantly. And another carcinogenic element is found right in your tap water, fluoride. Fluoride has been proven to be carcinogenic, as well as the other elements in there definitely don't help with that. Just look at the work of Declan Wall from Ireland, who determined that, scientifically proven that it does cause cancer. So that's something to point out. As well as, genetically modified foods, the rise in colorectal cancers, intestinal cancers, gut cancers, I guess you could call it, has skyrocketed since they've introduced genetically modified foods. And that's why a lot of people are against GMOs and Monsanto, because when you eat that stuff, you're going to get sick. It's not a question of if I will get sick, it's when will you get sick. Now, a lot of people have cancer. That's what they say. They say you're born with cancer. They say everybody's born with cancer. It's just if you excite it and it becomes malignant, that's what they say. Now, I really need to look into this a little bit further, because I don't believe that. I truly do not believe that everybody is born with cancer or everybody has cancer. And At least I didn't think it. I don't think it was always like that. I think that something happened in the process of human history where something was introduced, and at that point on, then we become born with the cancer cells so that it's easier to excite and we get sick from it. Now, a lot of these companies and corporations out there don't do enough testing, don't do enough product testing to determine whether it will be carcinogenic through prolonged consumption of these products. And that's a big problem, in my opinion. They can't do it. When you invent something or you create a new food item, usually they put it out on the market very quickly, actually, without doing prolonged tests. And if you're going to be introducing a new element into the system, you definitely need to have years and years and years of testing on that, because how are you going to know if somebody's going to get cancer unless you've done years of testing to be able to determine if it is carcinogenic? Now, these companies don't do that. They don't have the time to it, nor will they fund it. That's a big thing right there. They won't fund it because once they find out that it's carcinogenic, they lose their money. And that's the bottom line, folks. Money. That's what we're going to get into here. Now, everybody knows Easter is coming up soon. With Easter coming up soon, we have the Easter seals. And in my town here, Sudbury, we have the Easter seals telethon. And I'm telling you, I was going to call them today, actually, and document it. But I had to get at least, I got 3 hours sleep in the last 2 days, and I just had that before doing the broadcast here. I definitely had to sleep in between posting the March of Freedom video and waking up to do this broadcast, because my body was, to do a broadcast and to be on top and on the ball mentally, I definitely needed a little bit of sleep to do this broadcast. So I got 3 hours sleep in the last couple days, but maybe I'll do that tomorrow and document it and show you guys. But Easter Seals Telethon. My wife bought a bottle of wine tonight. She went into the store, and there's people giving out those little yellow daffodils that you see for Easter seals. And this is for cancer. That's for the cancer industry. Donate some money, and you'll get a yellow daffodil, and wear that on your shirt to spread awareness about cancer and the cancer issue. We're going to get into this because, honestly, these people are the biggest crooks on the planet, in my opinion, and this has got to be one of the biggest scandals in human history, in my opinion. The cancer and the medical industry is a huge scandal, which I'll explain. So you've got all these fundraisers for years and years and years and years trying to find a cure for cancer or doing cancer research, this and that. You have all these problems here that's happening. Look at Terry Fox when he did the Marathon of Hope. He was running for cancer, and he was making the cancer research industry, the Cancer Society, $100,000 a day on average, and I'm sure that it was more than that at times. And when that adds up, from what I've been able to gather, it was 23.4 or 23.6 million or something that he ended up giving to the Cancer Society. That's a lot of money. That's a real huge lump of money. Almost $24 million for one campaign for cancer. Now, we've got all sorts of other ones. We've got all sorts of cancer donation societies. Easter Seals is one of them. I'm sure you've seen Run for the Cure. There's all sorts of these programs and donation scams, which are scandals. They are ripping you off. They are stealing your money to profit. Why do I say this? Because there are cures for cancer. Don't kid yourself, people. There are many cures for cancer out there. Just look it up. You'll find tons. And the reason why they will not approve it is because Big Pharma will lose out on their money. And I had a guest on the show recently, Judith Very Baker. Some of my listeners are very aware of her work. She is an avid fighter against the cancer industry. She was actually involved with the development of cancer in the 60s, in the 50s. She was inducing lab mice with cancer cells, and she was able to develop huge tumors in these mice in 7 days. So the cancer industry became interested in her work and brought her on board so that she could develop cancer. She was told that it was to find a cure for cancer, but really later she found out that they were trying to weaponize cancer. And I want to recommend you guys a couple books, because what I'm going to be explaining is very detailed in these books. I would highly recommend any of my listeners to buy these books and read them. First, we have this book here. This book here is called Dr. Mary's Monkey by Edward Haslam. Edward Haslam is a great book. He did a huge amount of research, years and years and years of research to come up with the information in this book. This book here has tons of government documents. There's tons of information in here proving his facts. I could skim through this quickly, but I would definitely just recommend to get the book if you can. In this book, he goes into the weaponized cancer scheme and to try to determine the increase in the cancer epidemic, because that's what we're facing, folks. We are facing a cancer epidemic. In the not so distant future, 1 out of 7 people, 1 out of 10 people got cancer. Now 1 out of every 2 people are getting cancer. That shows you something right there. What is causing this? And I think Edward Haslam has really uncovered a lot of this in this book, Dr. Mary's Monkey. You might be asking, who is Dr. Mary? Dr. Mary is Dr. Mary Sherman. She was working with the cancer industry and Judith Baker. And the other book I wanted to recommend is Me and Lee, How I Came to Know, Love, and Lose Lee Harvey Oswald by Judith Baker. A very thick book about her story, her work, as well as her work in the cancer industry, trying to weaponize cancer. Now, they were trying to weaponize cancer to kill Fidel Castro. That's why she was brought on board. And later, she objected because they were going to inject a prisoner with these cancer cells that they were working on, very deadly cancer virus, from the monkey. I think it was HV40 monkey virus that was in these needles that they were giving these people. And there was a prisoner that was injected without knowing it, really, and he died later on. And she objected to that, so she got kicked out of the cancer industry because she objected to injecting prisoners with these deadly cancer viruses, which would kill them. So that goes to show you the mentality of the cancer industry. If you can't kill somebody, you're not welcome. So that's why they call it health care as well, because they care about you when you have cancer or you're sick and dying. They care. They care about it. They don't cure it. They care. And they also give you treatment. And what's a treat? Everybody who has a dog or a cat out there, when their cat or dog does something good, they get a treat. It's a reward. So when you're getting treatment, you're actually treating the illness. You're giving them snacks. You're giving your illness a snack so that it remains at bay and doesn't get rid of it. They don't want you getting rid of your cancer. They want you to still have it. They want it to become dormant and then become malignant again. That's what they want. That's why they'll do radiation. They'll carve some of it out in surgery. I mean, I'm not going to say that all these procedures are 100% failures or that you shouldn't be doing this. I mean, some people have to go down that route, but I would say that most people don't. These methods that they're using to get rid of cancer nowadays are very archaic and primal, I'd say. Very outdated considering what we have now to battle cancer. And it's disgusting if you really think about it. It really is. It's disgusting. I mean, a lot of people in my family have died of cancer. A lot of close people in my family. My grandmother, whom I love very much. My grandfather died of cancer. The last time I seen him, he gave me this look like he knew it would be the last time I seen him. And he was sitting in his chair, dying of cancer. And he didn't go to the doctors. He had a doctor come to his house a few times. I mean, he did have a doctor that would come home and go to his house and check, but he wanted to die at home. And he let the disease take him and kill him. And I remember what he went through when he had cancer, and it's not pretty. His whole insides were just eaten up from the cancer. He wasn't able to excrement anymore. It was coming out his mouth. Very disturbing, folks, and that's what cancer will do to you. It will eat you up, chew you up, spit you out, and they don't want you to cure it. They don't want to let you know how to cure it anyways, because they'd lose their money. They'd lose their jobs. If you had a doctor out there saying, "Oh yeah, don't go with what we're doing, go with this route," which I'll explain later, some of these cures to help save your family members and yourself if you have it. They don't want you to go on to that knowledge because you'll get better and then you won't be a customer anymore. And that's what it is. They want customers. They want you sick. They want to care for your health. And if you're getting better and you've cured the disease, they don't need you anymore. They can't profit from you anymore, so they'll lose their money. And Judith Baker actually puts it very well. She says that all these cancer industries are like palaces, cancer palaces. Anybody who's been in a cancer treatment clinic or facility, just look at how much money goes into those buildings. Where's all this money coming from? It's coming from donations from the public. People that are still oblivious to the fact that there is natural cures and there's alternative routes to getting rid of your cancer, they still trust in the medical industry. Because of that, people will donate entire paychecks. They will donate their entire life savings to trying to find a cure for cancer, because they won't go on the internet, they won't buy a book, they won't look at any of this stuff up. They're stubborn, they're brainwashed, they have no clue in the world. And that's why it's up to people like you and me to spread this information, to wake the people up, and to try to help cure people. That's the bottom line right there, folks. So the cancer industry is worth billions and billions and billions of dollars, and this is annual income. You have all sorts of these money plots, I like to call them, where it's just sucking your money out, and then where does this money go? It goes into building these giant cancer treatment centers, and who knows where the rest of the money goes. I mean, and another thing too is when somebody is dying of cancer, you will lose your life savings because of that. Especially in America, where they don't have paid health care. If you can't afford it, you're going to be in debt. And when you die, which a lot of times they want you to die so that they can profit from that, what happens? Your family's left with the bill, and your family goes in debt for the rest of their lives. That adds stress onto their lives. And a lot of the health issues is all in your mind. You can produce all sorts of things with your brain. Your brain produces chemicals. Your brain produces all sorts of things on its own. And if you're depressed and stressing out over the loss of a loved one or anything like that, that can have an effect on your health too. So it's very important that we remain vigilant, that we remain strong, and we remain sure with our convictions. Because once you're armed with the truth and you're armed with this information, you can go to your doctor and ask them about it. And surprisingly, a lot of times they will say, okay, yeah, you're right. If you want to go that route, okay, there you go. I mean, that's what we need to take. If you don't bring it up, they won't offer it to you, is one thing. So as you guys know, I don't have a teleprompter here. I don't have any notes. I mean, I have the name of the episode and 2 lines here, just the Easter Seals thing I wanted to remember. I do all my broadcasts off the top of my head, so bear with me, folks. But I'm going to check the chat room here for the first time. I haven't got around to that yet because I just had to get that out there for you people. But in any event, there's also this right here. This is pretty important here. Cellular transmitter concerns. Here we go. We are being assured that Industry Canada, Health Canada regulations are being followed. Why should we be concerned? Now this is what I was talking about earlier in regards to why I might not be sleeping. There's something called EHS, electromagnetic hypersensitivity, which it's estimated that 5% of the population has EHS, and it's expected to rise to 40% in the next 6 years, which is a huge increase. And these are frequencies from our cellular devices, from smart meters, from cell phone towers, from all sorts of things like this that are being proven to be carcinogenic. It says right here that cancers can take 20 plus years to materialize, which is what I was explaining earlier. Not showing definitive causal proof linking wireless RF with cancer is not the same as proof of safety. So these people here are saying that it doesn't cause cancer. Now they're saying it's possibly carcinogenic to humans. Smart meters, cell phones, cordless phones, routers, etc. So that's another way you could get cancer, is from these transmissions, these energy waves that your body is soaking in. Those are now proving to be carcinogenic. Now when they say it's not, and then they say it's possible, you could tell that they're just trying to suppress that information. And I just noticed in the chat room here, it doesn't seem like we're connected to Truth Broadcast Network. I'm not sure what's going on there. I mean, I definitely know there's a lot more viewers than what it's saying is on there. Doesn't seem like we're live right now, actually, but I know there's a couple viewers out there who are probably linked directly into the video feed, not through the network. So thank you guys for watching that are in the chat room. I'm not sure what happened there. I've also noticed that I haven't been linking to the radio shows. They have the radio things, and apparently my show hasn't been going in through the radio. So I don't know what's going on there. Definitely got to look into that. So I might have to go onto my Facebook page and post a link, actually, just to get some more viewers in here, because people probably aren't connecting. So sorry folks, got to do that here. And I also wanted to show you guys a video clip of something in a bit. I do have a couple video clips to show you guys, but generally this broadcast will be me explaining a lot of this stuff and talking to you guys about this stuff. So you'll have to excuse me here while I try to figure out what's going on here. But yeah, with the cancer rates, it's huge. I mean, it is an epidemic. I mean, I wouldn't kid yourself. With that many people dying and sick of cancer, there's definitely something going on there. You know what I mean? There's got to be. There's no way that you can't call it an epidemic, because I'm telling you, with that many people dying of it, there's definitely something going on that needs to be looked at. And it seems to me that they're ignoring it, because for the past 50 or 60 years now, cancer has been such a huge killer in people, and they still claim that there's no cure. So that's very sad when that's how our lives are being lived. So I don't know. I really can't say what it's going to take. I mean, I think it's going to take a bunch of people trying to band together to work to expose the truth. And when there's these cancer fundraisers and money plots happening in your community, Run for the Cure and all that other stuff, we should be running for the cure, literally. We should be going to those places with flyers and documents like this and handing them out to people there, saying, hey, you want to cure cancer? Here you go. And give them a list of things that they can do to cure themselves of cancer and to get rid of this, because that's what it's going to take. That's the evolution of this. They're not going to listen to you. If you walk into the doctors and you say, you know, what are you doing? You know, you're allowing people to die of cancer and get sick and all that stuff. They'll probably throw you in the loony bin, into psychiatric treatment. That's how they get rid of people like that. However, we do need to remain vigilant, as I said earlier, and we do need to band together and try to make light of this and help others, because that's the bottom line. We got to help each other out, especially in regards to this. So that's an important thing that we should be doing, is when there is a cancer fundraiser or a cancer thing, we should definitely be going to these people and saying, here's the cure for cancer, and teaching them and educating them, because education is a very important thing in all of this, in the fight to end this epidemic, as they say. So I don't know, I'm going online here, and I'm noticing there is a few people there, but definitely doesn't seem like we're connected into the network right now, which is very strange. It's never happened before, really, that I've been able to tell. So I do thank everybody who has tuned in direct to Unveiling the Truth. But I'm going to get something on the screen here. Oh, just got to set it up. There we go. All right. Should be good to go. Yep. All right. So here, I have Google. Everybody uses Google to find information, to find images, to find all sorts of stuff like that. So all I'm going to type in Google is this: cancer rates, rates. Cancer rates. Here we go. And I'm going to look at the images. I'm not going to go through all that stuff. And here we go, folks. All it takes is a simple Google search for cancer rates, and you will find this. You'll likely find the same things, the same results that I'm getting. But here we go. Soft tissue cancers skyrocketing. And you can see the years here, and this is the steady increase right here. They say this is going down here, but this is going up. I mean, look at all these. Malignant melanoma rates, 1973 to 2004, definitely skyrocketing. All of these, skyrocketing, skyrocketing, skyrocketing. All of them just keep going down. Just look at the increase. They have a couple little dips here and there going down, but most of them are steadily on the rise as compared to where they started. I mean, that is insanity, folks, that they have this big of an epidemic and they still can't find a cure for cancer. Come on, folks. I mean, if you're believing that garbage, then you're likely going to get sick and die from this if you're going to be going to get radiation and chemo and cancer and all that other stuff. I mean, it has worked in the past for some people, but they get sick from it. There's other illnesses that they can get from those forms of treatments, and a lot of the times it comes back. It doesn't go away. It does come back eventually, especially if you keep up your lifestyle and you keep eating bad foods. So, I mean, just Google search cancer rates and you could see a lot of different types of cancers and the statistics on those types of cancers, and it's just huge. I mean, massive, massive increases. And this is what I would call an epidemic. Definitely an epidemic when you have that many people dying of cancer. And Edward Haslam in his book Dr. Mary's Monkey has a lot of statistics in there. I'm not going to leaf through the book and find the exact pages or sources for that. I should have maybe done that before the broadcast, but again, I've been so busy with everything else I didn't really have time to take notes or gather video clips for this broadcast or anything like that. There is one here that I want to show you guys, though. In a little bit, there's a couple little video clips I am going to show you directly from the internet, which should help you guys in finding alternate ways of curing your cancer if you have it. That's another thing right there. And cancer also is just one example out of many that the medical industry does not want to cure. They want you to remain sick, or at least have signs of getting better, but it's still there. They want to control the illness. There's all sorts of illnesses out there and diseases that fall into this category. I mean, it should be dubbed something. I haven't really thought of a witty term or anything for it yet, but maybe someone else will be able to do that. Who knows, right? But in any event, I mean, we got to stop this. We got to do something about this, and I'm going to try to offer you guys the cures for cancer on the second half of this broadcast, as well as try to find out ways that we can battle the cancer industry on our own. We can start petitions, we can start Facebook pages, we can start groups, we can spread awareness, create info sheets like this, flyers. As I said, go to these cancer fundraisers and flyer them and just go on the ground with a few people and spread the information and awaken people to this stuff, because I don't know how much longer that this is going to go on. It could go on for a very long time, actually, where these people are going to keep profiting and profiting and profiting year in and year out from this, until the education and awareness of this reaches critical mass. And then when that happens, they'll have no choice but to say, oh, we have a cure, here you go. That's the thing. But what causes cancer is another important thing. You want to stay away from this, and it's very hard because a lot of the products that we consume or that we are interacting with are carcinogenic. So that's another way that they're sure to keep customers coming in, which could also explain the skyrocket in those rates of cancer. Definitely keeping it at a par. Now, Edward Haslam in his book Dr. Mary's Monkey goes on to describe the polio vaccine. Very important here. The polio vaccine was contaminated with the monkey virus in the 50s, and they still gave out millions and millions and millions of doses of this polio vaccine, which had this monkey virus in it, a cancer-causing monkey virus. Now, Edward Haslam in his book states that it was a sexually transmitted virus in those polio vaccines. So the implications of that are huge. That means that everybody who got the polio vaccine, whether they got cancer or not, are carriers of this cancer gene, which they will pass on to their children will pass on to their children, etc., 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 which would very well explain why they say that everybody's born with cancer nowadays. That's one connection that, I mean, I got to look into this a little bit further. Perhaps a viewer out there would be able to confirm this indefinitely. But if that's the case, then we're being fed a load of BS on a spoon again by the medical industry, saying that everybody's born with cancer, it's normal. I mean, it had to have come from somewhere, especially when you see statistics and charts skyrocketing year in and year out for cancer rates. There's got to be something that caused that spike, and that spike seemed to increase right after they introduced the polio vaccines. So I think Edward was definitely onto some good information. I would love to have him on the show sometime, actually, and reach out to Edward to get him to discuss this in depth and in detail. So that's something I'm going to look for in the future, is to try to get Edward on board to talk about this further, and the research and his book, obviously. So if this sexually transmitted cancer virus is a result of the polio vaccine, then it could be the source of the problem. But other vaccines also contain materials which can be carcinogenic, as well as bottles, the BPA in the plastics in bottles, your water bottles, the plastic wrapping and the individual packages for a lot of the processed foods you get. Everything comes in a package nowadays. There's some things that come in jars, glass jars, which I would recommend over buying plastic products. But you also have the cans, the aluminum cans, which has this liner inside of it, which has the BPA in it, and there's other elements in there as well that are carcinogenic, as well as aluminum. We all know that can cause problems, neurological problems. There's all sorts of health risks associated with all these products, with interacting with them, with consuming them, and that's one thing you really got to look out for, because if you don't want to get cancer, you got to avoid interacting with anything that's going to give you cancer. But also, if you have cancer, it's very important to get it identified early, because if you let it go out of control, there may not be stopping it, and a lot of the natural cures and alternative remedies may not work. I mean, you don't want to let that cancer just, grow into massive tumors and spread throughout your whole body and become terminal, because then there might not be too much of a chance of turning back. And a lot of people sadly get to that point, especially when they fear their doctors, which I don't fear my doctor. I mean, I got a good doctor. She listens to what I say and stuff, but I barely ever see my doctor. Barely ever go to the doctors or the clinics for any reasons. So that's one thing, right? You do need early detection. When you detect the cancer early, you have a much better chance of fighting it off with less harsh measures. Essentially, you won't need to cut it out. You won't need to get radiation, and radiation causes cancer. I mean, that's pretty common sense. I think you don't want radiation in your body at all, I would say. So I don't know why people would want to get chemo. Their hair falls out, they get sick. A lot of people die during the process, or the cancer comes back eventually, which is what they want. There's other ways of doing it: cleansing yourself, detoxifying yourself. Definitely keeping a healthy body, healthy mind is one of the best ways. So I'm going to check the chat room again here, see if we got a couple more listeners. We have one more listener. So the few people that are in the chat room and connected right now, since you're listening, I guess what one of the questions that I'd like to ask you guys. For anybody who's listening to my previous broadcasts and all that stuff, I guess I'll ask, where did Judith Baker go when she worked on these cancer research projects? Which city, which area of the United States did she move to be and get involved with these cancer research experiments to weaponize cancer? If somebody can answer that in the chat room, I'll give you Eye of the Illuminati DVD. So anybody watching, if you type the answer into the chat room, I'll give you that DVD. And again, the question is, where did Judith Baker move to when she started working on the cancer program, essentially? So I'm going to check the chat room there. The first person who gets it right, I'll send them off a copy of the DVD. But I'm going to continue on here to keep going. And sorry if I'm not playing many video clips today. I'm just trying to go off the top of my head and give you guys as much information as possible in regards to this. Now, another thing that's very important in regards to all of this is how long there has been cures and the suppression of these cures. A big thing is a lot of people have developed cures for cancer or have discovered elements that do aid in getting rid of it or entirely curing you or cleaning your body out. But when they present it to the medical industry, there's no money put forward to fund these programs, to fund these products, to fund the research into this. They won't do the research. That's the bottom line, is they won't do the research to get it approved, because anybody who knows anything about the medical industry and pharmaceuticals and all that stuff, you have to get it approved. You get a patent, you get it approved. And a lot of these natural cures and these harmless substances are suppressed. They're not funded, they're not put through, which is why they're not FDA approved, and you won't find them on your shelves. And as well, when they do put something out and they do find a new cure or a substance that is going to help you to get rid of your cancer or any illness for that matter, they bring the price up on it huge. They will profit off you as much as they can. I mean, if somebody's sick and dying, they don't have too many options. They're going to look for the first option to cure them as fast as possible so that they don't have that problem anymore. And a lot of times in the heat of the moment, in a panic-stricken mode of mind and mentality, people run to the first source they can, which is the doctors, the hospital, and then they get into the triangle, the chemotherapy, the surgery, and the radiation. So there's all this stuff that will harm you, but a lot of people are desperate when they get diagnosed with cancer. They go with whatever they can, and they do it quickly, and they don't think ahead of time. I've known several people that personally that have got rid of cancer just by changing their diet. That's a huge one. That's probably the biggest tip I could give anybody, is your diet and your health. What you're putting in your body is really going to have an effect on how you are in health-wise. So watch what you eat. Definitely important words there. Definitely watch what you eat. And I know that they, put the non-GM foods and the good foods, the wholesome organic foods, gluten-free, all that stuff is considerably more expensive than the processed mass manufactured name brand food that will give you cancer. So they're making it harder to live a healthy lifestyle, and they're also making it very expensive when you get sick to be able to get rid of it. But there's a lot of success stories out there. You could just do a Google search, YouTube search, whatever you got. There's a lot of proof out there that people have got rid of cancer with 100% approval. They go to their doctor, and their doctor says, yeah, there's nothing we can do for you. And that's the scary thing, is when you go to your doctor and you say, I don't want chemo, I don't want surgery, I don't want radiation, I don't want any of that stuff, they'll say, well, we can't help you then, because those are the options that the doctors are allowed to give you. They're not allowed to tell you to go cure yourself. because they'd lose money and they'd lose their jobs because of that. So that's the big problem there is you'll get a death ticket from your doctor pretty much. You'll go in there and they'll say, sorry, there's nothing we can do for you. And that's insanity right there. In my opinion, that's pure insanity. When you go to a doctor to try to get help and they say there's nothing we can do for you, you've got cancer, you've got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, which is why it's always good to learn about this stuff beforehand, so that if you ever do come across it and you detect it early, you can get rid of it faster. And it is very unfortunate that a lot of people get dealt the death card, I guess you could say, when they go to the doctors, but thankfully there are get out of death free cards that we can get from knowledge. Essentially, knowledge is power, and knowing is half the battle. The other half is action and taking care of yourself and doing it. So that's another important thing right there. Oh, there we go. We have a correct answer. AFATA username in there. New Orleans. Your first guess, Florida, was wrong. She was living there for a while. That's where she was in school, injecting the mice and all that stuff with the cancer cells. But when the cancer industry became aware of what she was doing, they asked her to go to New Orleans to work on cancer programs with Dr. Alton Ochsner, who was a eugenicist and definitely high up in the cancer industry in the 50s and 60s. So awesome that you got that. New Orleans is right. AFATA username. If you send me an email to info@unveilingthetruth.com, just say, hey, I'm the prize winner. I'll ship you off that DVD. And thanks for checking that out and guessing it right. Congratulations, you are the first winner. So a little bit later in the broadcast, the next one is James Holmes conspiracy. Somebody guesses that right, I'll be sending you that as well. And I'll ask you another question. Now this question will be more directly related to the information that I've presented here in regards to cures and stuff like that. So congratulations, definitely. So with what I was saying there is about the cures being suppressed and all that stuff, there is a lot of different elements or different products that have been developed by people, and they've proven without a shadow of a doubt that it cures cancer, but it will not get funded. And here's a clip in regards to that, which I'll play. I just have to get it on screen here. Here we go. All right. And this
applications and is relatively cheap.
For the broadcast, actually.
But as CTV's medical specialist Avis Favreau explains, redeveloping the drug may not fit into the business plans of the big pharmaceutical companies.
The tumor, the 3D.
Dr. Evangelos Mikalakis has given cancer researchers a brand new lead with an old drug, a cheap, inexpensive powder that costs just pennies a dose.
You typically get this eureka kind of feeling, and it's actually the most exciting thing scientists can get.
The drug, called DCA in short, has been used for decades in humans with some rare inherited diseases. When he added it to the water of mice and rats given human cancers, the results surprised him.
And has this big tumor growing in his back. So you can see that even after 3 weeks there is a significant or 70% decrease in tumor size.
It shrunk brain, breast, and lung tumors in the animals in a matter of weeks, and the drug had no side effects, confirmed by tests of DCA in humans for other diseases.
This kind of results, to my mind, are as good as it gets.
And it seems to work by reviving the energy-producing components of human cells, allowing the cells to work normally again, triggering cancerous cells to commit suicide. Scientists agree that DCA now needs to be tested quickly in human cancer patients.
This is exactly what we want, a drug that has activity, but has also minimal side effects for patients.
But there's a problem. DCA isn't owned by any pharmaceutical company. There's no patent on it. So on one hand, it could become a very inexpensive new treatment for cancer. On the other, drug companies won't be interested in funding studies for a drug that won't make them a profit.
This is a difficult question because typically, there are market considerations.
So now Dr. Mikalakis has to find someone who will pay for the next round of testing.
We hope that we can attract the interest of universities here in Canada and in the United States.
And he doesn't want to let the medical dream of a cheap, effective anti-cancer drug disappear just because it might not make someone a lot of money. It costs, some say, about $100 million to get a new drug through all the phases of testing onto the market. So it will be interesting to see if this old drug actually gets a new chance at becoming an anti-cancer medication. Lloyd?
Well, Avis, your report tells us that this drug has great promise. So why aren't companies and institutions lining up to get behind it?
Well, first of all, Lloyd, this is the initial report. Secondly, because the drug isn't patented, it's an old drug, if someone invests in researching it, they're not going to make a profit because anyone can make it. So we'll have to see. There are some agencies, public agencies, government agencies that may give it funding, but that's still a question that will have to be answered.
But unless big pharmaceutical companies are behind these things, they may go nowhere. Is that it?
Well, actually, Lloyd, I've had 2 other stories where drugs have shown great promise in the preclinical phase, and because they were orphan drugs and no one picked up, nobody could get the patent on it, they've gone nowhere. So I will be keeping an eye on this one.
Thank you very much, Avis.
And there we have it. CTV did a good story, I would say. Definitely asking some very good questions and pointing out the fact that big pharma will not fund these companies. You could come up with a cure for cancer, have 100% curing rate, and they will not fund you. Why? Because it's not profitable, especially when it only costs pennies to make, and the public knows that. They're not going to give that to you for pennies. If they did actually patent that drug and get it out to the market, it would definitely cost a lot more than a few pennies per dose. Definitely. So that's the bottom line right there. And they definitely don't like you gathering herbs or spices or plants to cure yourself, because they can't put a patent on anything in nature unless it's a genetically modified crop, unless the genetic structure of the plant has been altered in some format. Then a company like Monsanto is able to patent it and have maximize their profit share on that. So that's what's going on. I mean, you can't go out in your backyard and say, oh, I picked up daffodil, I'm going to patent this because it comes from nature, it's a naturally grown element. You can't put a patent on that. So because of that, these industries, these companies will definitely not endorse anything like that, which what you just saw. Now there is a couple cures that have kind of been adapted by the industry, which are, I mean, it is starting to slowly transform into things, but I still see a very slow crawl process. It's slow as molasses in January in releasing the information about cures. They definitely want to try to hold that back so that they can increase their profits and maintain it, but I'm sure that the cancer research industries and all these foundations and donations and charity scandals are feeling a burn in their pockets in the last couple of years, because people are not stupid anymore. We're waking up. We know what's going on. We're not going to take it anymore, and we're not going to donate anymore. And that's very important thing to point out. If somebody is going to donate some money, I would suggest donating to somebody like Rick Simpson, who's been curing cancer for years, who's been suppressed by the Canadian government and other governments for curing people of cancer. And this is where I'll get into the cures. And I'll do the second question here in the chat room for anybody listening who wants the chance to win a prize. Definitely check this out. And I would say, what documentary film did Rick Simpson make? What's the name of it? If somebody can name the documentary film that Rick Simpson did, I'll send them the James Holmes Conspiracy DVD. For anybody in the chat room listening. But Rick Simpson, I don't think he lives in Canada anymore. I believe that he's had to move out of the country because of problems that he had with the cancer industry and the government of Canada. He has been curing people of cancer for many years, as well as other illnesses such as type 2 diabetes and all sorts of ailments and illnesses. He's had confirmation of these people. These people go to their doctors, they're diagnosed with cancer, they get the death ticket, they go see Rick Simpson, they cure themselves, and then they go back to their doctors, and their doctors are blown away because they have no cancer anymore, or they have no illness anymore. And that's the power of it. And what Rick Simpson uses is cannabis oil. Now that's a huge one right there. Marijuana, cannabis, all that stuff, I would definitely endorse that. I mean, I always have and I always will. I love it. What can I say? I love pot, people. What are you going to say? I love it. And the reason why is because not only is it good for your health, it's good for your brain, it's good for everything. It's a plant, it's natural, it grows natural. Nobody has ever died from cannabis. Nobody has ever died from cannabis. Don't let anybody tell you different. If somebody has died, it wasn't directly to the cannabis. It was because of something else. Maybe they had other drugs in them. They got in a car accident, whatever. I mean, the cannabis itself has not killed anybody. At least if somebody is allergic to it, then it'd be like a peanut allergy, right? We're able to go to get peanuts from the grocery store. Some people are allergic to peanuts. Their throat will swell up, whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's people that are naturally allergic to cannabis, but I mean, nobody has been died from it, like crack cocaine or anything like that, or heroin or designer drugs, stuff like that, chemical drugs, chemical-based drugs. Marijuana, cannabis is a natural plant which grows from the ground, which is why they're so hard and they do not want to legalize it. And if they do want to legalize it, it's only for the profit purpose, which is what we're seeing now. In Canada here, we have Trudeau, who's being groomed to become the next Prime Minister of Canada, and he's all for legalizing marijuana so that they can get the government of Canada to profit from it. I mean, look at what's happening in Colorado. They legalized marijuana, and it's a huge industry now. Billions of dollars, I'm sure, over the years that are going to be generated from that, just from legalizing it. So that's the one thing you got to watch out for, is when they are going to I know a lot of people want it legalized and stuff. I don't want it legalized. I don't want it to be illegal where I could go to jail for smoking a joint for or eating a bud or something to cure myself or anything like that. That's definitely not what I want. And there's a lot of people in jail right now for minor misdemeanor marijuana or cannabis charges, which is absurd. And you hear about people having medical marijuana cards and all that stuff because it actually works. These people, we do have programs here in Canada and other countries too, where you can get a card to be able to grow your own marijuana, to be able to have a permit for that, or to be able to go in and purchase it from stores, because there's vendors now that are selling it. That's the slow increase of making it legalized, essentially. But they're going to profit from it as much as they can, which is a big problem, I think. I think everybody should have the freedom to grow it in their own house if they want to. I mean, if they legalize it, there's going to be a lot of restrictions. It'll still be restricted and governed and stuff like that. I mean, you won't be able to grow 1 million plants in your house or anything like that. They would definitely probably shut you down in that case. But there is a big agenda going on in regards to this. But people are really starting to wake up by the thousands, by the millions now, to the medicinal benefits of cannabis use and marijuana use, which is, I don't blame them. I've seen firsthand the results from that, and it does work. It does cure. It does help with a lot of things. Just look it up online. There's plenty of information. I'm not going to go too much into that. I think I've already explained a lot about that. But cannabis is definitely very, very good to cure a lot of things. Will it cure cancer? That's hard to say. I mean, I've seen it cure. Well, I've seen it cure cancer and stuff like that. But I mean, does it work all the time? Is what I was trying to say. Does it work 100% of the time? Well, that depends on how far advanced your cancers are. But it's definitely worked. I mean, Rick Simpson's oil that he makes, he extracts it from the cannabis. He wipes it on melanoma, skin cancers, and it just goes away. And also, it seems like there is no listeners now on the chat room, so I don't know what happened there. Disconnected. Something is going on there. In any event, I I guess nobody's going to be answering the question. So once I see people come back in and get reconnected, I'll definitely shoot that question out there again, because seems like we're having network problems, or they're trying to shut me down. Something, it's not connecting properly. So who knows? But in any event, with the cancer and the cannabis, that's just one natural cure for cancer. There's also somebody who discovered a cure for cancer in the 30s, I believe, and her name was Renee Case. That's Caisse, and she was from my province, Ontario, just south of here. And she had a clinic actually where she was able to cure people of cancer. It was almost experimental, I guess you could say, because she was working with the medical industry, and she said she had a cure for it, and she had a cure for other illnesses and stuff. But what happened was she needed to have patients referred to her by a doctor to be able to go to her clinic to get treated using what she calls Esiac, which you can still get today. I was in the bulk barn today and I seen a bottle of it. I think it goes for about $40, and what that does is it cleans your whole body out, free radicals, all that stuff. It's an antioxidant. It cleans your body out big time, and that's what she was developing many years ago. But as I stated, she needed patients to be referred from a doctor to her clinic. So she was getting all sorts of people referred to her clinic. People were going there, and she had thousands of people that were going to her clinic. She was treating them for free, from what I've been able to tell, and giving them stuff and then writing all the results. And she had tons and tons and tons of people who just got cured of cancer. But as soon as the medical industry wanted to put a patent on her medicine, and she didn't want to, she wanted to have that available to people for free. So the Renee Case Clinic was a very noble thing, and it's unfortunate that she got shut down. Her clinic got shut down because they stopped referring her patients. Now, why? Because they couldn't patent. When they moved in to put a patent on it to profit from her medicine, she said no. They stopped referring her clients and patients, and because of that, her clinic eventually got shut down. Now, thankfully, Esiac is still around today. You can still get that. That's Essiac. That's her last name spelt backwards. So you can get that at the bulk barn. I've seen it in the health section. You can get it from probably your pharmacy. You can get it in some places. So it's good that it is available there. And it comes in a green bottle like this. You can't miss it. Esiac. Check it out. And that's been proven to cure cancer as well. There's also all sorts of other things like the Gerson therapy, the Gerson treatment. There's an excellent documentary on it. There's a couple good documentaries actually on the Gerson therapy, where Dr. Gerson was curing people just by changing their diet. Once you change your diet, eating the right foods and stuff like that can definitely deter cancers, to get rid of it, to stop it from coming back, and to reverse it as well. And anybody I've talked to who had cancer, who was diagnosed with it and beat the cancer, who changed their diet and started eating good, it doesn't come back. That's one thing I've noticed. It doesn't come back, and if it does, there's got to be some sort of outside element that's causing it to come back. It could be anything really. With all the pollution, the food, the water. I mean, a lot of people aren't even aware that their tap water contains carcinogens in it. So there's all this stuff that you got to take into consideration. But for the most part, when you change your diet, it goes away, or it at least stops it from becoming malignant and destroying you and killing you, essentially. It definitely adds years to your life. But there's a great documentary on this, which actually covers a lot of the different people who discovered cures. There's also Huxley, who developed a cure, and the medical industry totally ridiculed this guy. I mean, they called him a quack. They called him a lunatic. They said that there's no way that he was curing cancer, but he was putting ads out saying that he would pay money for people. I mean, he would pay money to cure people, essentially. Like, if I can't cure you, you'll get money, I'm gonna look for this actually on here. to show you guys, because I know there's an image. I think it's an article that I saw that would be really good to show you guys. Hoxsey cancer. There we go. Now let me. It's called the Hoxsey therapy. And where is it? There's a great video from this too that I should show you guys, but I'm just gonna try to get this up here. Well, here we go. And this here, I don't know if this is a good article, pro or con in regards to it, but let me just get it on screen here. There we go. And yeah, it seems like in the chat room there's 0 listeners. So that means I'm not plugged into the network anymore. I don't know what happened there. Definitely going to have to look into that, because this has never happened before. Having no listeners. Usually there's 1 or 2 that are still attached, but that are connected somewhere. But today it seems like there's 0, and I know that it's not from people logging out. I had some people saying that were in the chat room and interacting and stuff, but now it seems like it's been disconnected for some reason. I'm still recording, which is a good thing, but it's just not going through live to the network. So definitely going to have to figure that out, because it seems like it's been prolonging. But here we go. Cancer quackery, past and present. This is reprinted from FDA Consumer, July to August 1977. But here's the article here. Cancer can be cured. I want to send to all sufferers from cancer these 2 big books absolutely free. And this was Hoxsey, Dr. Johnson Remedy. But this is just an example of people that were saying that cancer could be cured many, many, many years ago. And there's proof right in here that it can be cured. They've had clinics and treatments and stuff like that. Right here, this is the Hoxsey one right here, I believe. I will give $1,000 if I fail to cure any cancer or tumor. No knife or pain, no pay until cured. Sorry. Any lump in woman's breast is cancer, they're saying. But kindly send this to someone with cancer. So they're giving $1,000 if they failed to cure your cancer. So that's how serious this is. There's people that were running clinics that were actually giving money to people for curing their cancer, if they couldn't anyways. And that's how serious this is, folks. I mean, people may think, oh yeah, well, they're not guaranteed to cure cancer. Well, these people were curing cancer 100% effective proven rate, 100%. And they were so vigilant and sure that they were able to do it, that they were willing to pay cash for anybody who they could not cure. So that goes to show you something about the vigilance that some of these researchers and these clinics and these people had. You have Case, you have Hoxsey, you have Gerson, you have all these people who have been giving natural cures and developing cures for cancer. And as soon as they came forward, they became in the public eye, and it became essentially the information started spreading around through word of mouth, through flyers, through newspaper articles, videos, ads, anything that these people would do. They would be attacked, shut down, and ridiculed by the media. Smear campaigns were put in place to make these people seem like they were quacks and insane for even suggesting that they could cure cancer, because the cancer industry, and it is an industry, they don't want you knowing about that. They don't want you trusting anybody but them. When you go to school to become a doctor, they'll teach you the way they want you to be taught. And when you're going through your book as a doctor, essentially you got books that you go through, and if it's not listed in there, then you can't prescribe it. So that's a big thing. I'm sure there's a lot of good doctors out there, though. I know a lot of naturopaths actually who are very good with helping people like this. They have no ties to the pharmaceutical industry. They may get funding from a few companies here and there to help them out with their doctor office and in their practice. But at the same time, they're not afraid to offer you some of these natural cures and be truthful about cancer and all that stuff. So that's very important to point out. is your doctor should be someone you trust. And that at the beginning of the broadcast, I mentioned health and safety. Now, health is important, obviously, but when you can't trust your doctor and you don't have a good relationship with your doctor, that's a safety issue, in my opinion. You should definitely try to get another doctor, try to look for a naturopath or somebody that's going to actually care about your health and try to cure you, because that's the bottom line, folks. These people are just trying to profit as much as they can to make as much money, and it's very sad that people are just a number or a customer to a lot of these doctors and clinics, and that's a big problem. That's not healthcare. That's something entirely different. That's death care. That's my opinion on the matter. But yeah, it seems some of the people got reconnected there. I'm not sure what happened with the broadcast there, but it did seem to disconnect definitely a few times today. So I don't know. And there's a couple people back in the chat room, and I don't think anybody that's in the chat room right now heard the prize question, but if anybody can name Rick Simpson's documentary, I'll mail them a copy of James Holmes' Conspiracy DVD. Just type it in the chat room there, Rick Simpson's documentary, name it, and then if you get it right, send me an email to info@unveilingthetruth.com. There we go, Jermaine got it. User in the chat room, Jermaine, he guessed it right. It's called Run From the Cure. So I definitely highly suggest anybody out there who wants to learn about these natural cures against cancer, one of them anyways, which would be cannabis, the oils extracted from that, to check out that documentary, Run From the Cure by Rick Simpson. And Jermaine, send me an info@unveilingthetruth.com, and just let me know where you want this shipped to, and you'll get a copy of the James Holmes Conspiracy on DVD. And thanks for getting that right. Thanks for participating in the prize giveaway, and congratulations on winning. It's great that he knew that right off the top of his head too. Another excellent documentary which explains a lot of what I've already discussed with you, but also goes further into detail. And I could have showed you some clips from that video and stuff like that, but it's called Cancer, the Forbidden Cures. That documentary is amazing. It definitely opened my eyes to what's going on in the bigger picture. Definitely. I mean, that goes through a lot of the people who have been suppressed by the medical industry, as well as explains their cures and what they've developed to help people out. So definitely check that out. Cancer, the Forbidden Cures, and Run From the Cure is another excellent documentary on regards to this. And in fact, one of my documentaries called NWO, Domino Effect, I go into the medical industry in that one as well. The documentary isn't entirely based on the medical industry or anything like that. It's a whole wide variety of issues explained in one film. But that was definitely an important topic to cover in that documentary. So I do go into discussing the cancer scheme in that film. And actually, I should play a clip from that documentary. Actually, I might even play that domino. That film was set up in dominoes, each chapter or section essentially, and the domino for the cancer scheme is definitely worth viewing, I would say. So I'm going to try to get this on screen here for you guys, because knowledge is power, folks. Critical information that every human being on the planet should know definitely needs to be shared and viewed, and I could explain it here for you guys, but I think I really summed it up in this film. And as I said, I'm not going to play too many video clips today, but this one here is definitely worth pointing out for everybody. Just got to get it on screen here. And find the right part, the right domino for the cancer scheme. And this documentary here, actually, another guest that I had on, another thing I wanted to mention here, is a previous guest that I had on, Mark Grennan, Archbishop Mark Grennan from the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. Definitely a great guy, amazing individual, awesome interview, I would definitely say. And he's promoting MMS as a cure for cancer, and they have also statistics and proof that it does cure cancer. They've had people terminal cancer. They've taken MMS and they've cleaned themselves out. They've detoxed their body, and they've also got rid of other ailments in the process of doing that. So there's definitely another person to check out. For anybody who really wants to check it out, check out the broadcast. I'm not sure what number it is of Unveiling the Truth, but just look for Unveiling the Truth interview with Mark Grennan, and that interview was amazing. He's been to third world countries. He's cured people of malaria, AIDS, syphilis, you name it, all these diseases that they say they can't cure. Well, they've been curing it right on the field. They go right there. They cure it firsthand. They document it. They set up workshops as they travel around different countries. He's been around the world doing speaking arrangements and seminars. And when he goes to these places, people show up with their personal stories, and he's been documenting it. I think he said he has over 1,000 now of people coming to these seminars and sitting down and saying what illness they had and how they cured it using MMS. So that's why I had him on the show, because if I can save some people's lives just from making a video, it's well worth it in my opinion. All it costs me is my time and a bit of effort and work, obviously, to make the videos and produce the videos and edit them. But that's nothing. That's no skin off my back compared to the lives that it could save for future generations of people that would watch this information and benefit from it and save their families' lives as well as their own lives in the process. I mean, I definitely think that health and safety are number one here, and definitely needs to be said. But here we go. This is also a good clip from the documentary here. You'll have to excuse me, folks. I'm trying to find this right spot here. Oh, here we go.
A vast majority of modern diseases were created in government laboratories, either intentionally or accidentally. These man-made diseases are a method of population control and a way to make profits from providing care for a disease as opposed to a cure for it. To increase these profits, there are many risks now associated with daily living, especially involving the foods we eat, products we use, and several other elements which have considerable health risks associated with them. Often there are warnings on some products, such as cigarettes, which claim the product is harmful, and this is done so that if anyone does get sick as a result of their products, no legal action may be taken against the company, so they may continue to rake in profits from the sale of their product, while creating new income for drug companies and healthcare facilities. In a truly honest world, these establishments would be called health cure facilities, but since no cures are being offered, they are instead called health care facilities.
It's just too profitable to cure any diseases. And when we look at our system of governance or management, which is the corporate system, they have specific rules that they have enshrined in law, that if you don't obey, they'll put you in jail or they'll take and sue you for your personal wealth. Sitting on the board of directors of a for-profit corporation, it would be illegal for any pharmaceutical corporation to direct their research and development departments to look for a cure, because that would be like curing themselves out of business. And that's illegal, because the shareholders are trusting that they're not going to do that they're going to make them as much money as possible without ethical concern. And these are the rules under which we operate. And this is why we can't trust our healthcare system, because it's not real healthcare. For it to be a real healthcare system, it would have to maintain our health. That's the number one thing that we don't think about when we talk about healthcare. But what we have is a sick care system that does profit from our illness and suffering, and we're okay with it because it's built into the rules of our society.
Anything that comes from nature cannot be patented. They're not interested in that. So, we translate that into the real world of FDA approval. Surely these drug companies aren't going to spend $20 million or more testing any substance from nature, because it can't be patented. That, and of course the FDA says it's illegal to use unless it's been tested for efficacy and safety. Now you see the catch-22 you're in there. Nothing from nature, regardless of how effective it might be, will ever be proven safe or effective according to the FDA. It'll never be. Because nobody's going to spend the money to go through the test. So therefore, everything from nature will always be condemned by the FDA as unproven.
If people at the top don't make the decisions that make the most amount of money as possible and direct the company that way, they face 10 years in jail. Or in the States, here in Canada, it'd be 10-year sentences, and in the States it's 30. So, you know, see, they can't direct their research and development departments to look for cures, and if a cure comes to them, they're not allowed to develop it. Because it goes against rule number 1. You must make as much money as possible. No ethical concerns need apply. That's the problem, is that there is no ethical concerns being applied. If you ever did make a decision to take those things into consideration and you wanted to do the right thing, well, the company has another remedy that they can use against you. They can take you to civil court and sue you for the difference between the decisions you did make and the ones you could have made that would have made more money. So, I mean, there's two ways. You're going to lose your personal freedom and your personal wealth, too. To what? To make the decision to release a cure, which isn't going to get out anyway. You're just going to get charged with doing, you know, and you could actually be sued if they ever got out to the news and it depressed the stock values or any of that kind of stuff.
This is what a real potato looks like.
All right, so before I show you this cancer scheme domino from the NWO Domino Effect video, I just wanted to mention the guy that was just speaking, David Sylvester. He's a good friend of mine from Sudbury here, and I did an interview with him as well. I think it was the 8th broadcast of Unveiling the Truth. He came on and did a show. So anybody who was relating to what he was saying there or wants to find out a bit more of information, he's a really good guy to learn from, and I would suggest checking out, I believe it was the 8th or 9th broadcast of Unveiling the Truth. His name's David Sylvester. Check that out. I did an interview. He came to my house actually, and we sat down at my kitchen table and just talked for a couple hours. It was a really good interview. So anybody who wants to check out more of his work and what he's about and some of his and some of the stuff he has to say, I would definitely recommend checking out that interview. As well as the interview, as I stated earlier, by Mark Grennan from the Genesis 2 Church of Health and Healing. So without further ado, I'm going to get you back to the cancer scheme domino here, because this is where it gets pretty intense and right on topic with today's show.
McDonald's French fry that's 4 years old.
That's absolutely crazy.
What are they doing? Why? What is this doing inside our body? Why are our kids eating this stuff? And why are we obese? There's no breakdown.
A couple from Utah lent us this fast food burger, and it is 14 years old. What? This is 14 years old.
Years old?
Yes. So this, put some gloves on, Karen.
Oh, thank you.
So this has been kept for 14 years by David Whipple, who says he bought it July 7th, 1999 in Logan, Utah. This,
it looks brand new. It actually looks like one that I bought a couple of weeks ago.
So it's not moldy. How can it not be moldy?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I'll give you one guess.
It's completely preserved.
Preservatives.
Oh,
that's a 14. If the mold won't eat it, if the fungus won't eat it, bugs won't eat it.
I have to.
Maybe we shouldn't be eating it. Look at all these preservatives.
You're not going to answer my question? No. I just want to ask if you think that Tim Hortons food causes cancer and health problems.
Very good. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good food? You think it's healthy? Would you recommend it for your children?
I don't have any fucking food.
Alright. That's a honest answer.
Approximately 8 million people die every year from cancer. Although there are several known cures for cancer, it remains the leading cause of death due to health-related problems. This is because the health and medical industry have too much to lose if they were to actually cure the disease. This cancer monopoly has several tentacles, and these include the medications used to treat the illness and the therapy programs and doctors needed to maintain their customers and the cancer.
In a repeated national survey, doctors in all branches of medicine, doctors in all parts of the country were asked, "What cigarette do you smoke, doctor?" Once again, the brand named most was Camel. Yes, according to this repeated nationwide survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette.
At the association's headquarters in Chicago, vigilant against quackery is Dr. Morris Fishbein.
There is no serum, drug, or combination of drugs that we know that will definitely cure cancer.
Perhaps the largest source of income for this money-making scandal is all of the donation and charity programs used to generate income to finding a cure, when we all know that there are many cures out there which have been proven to cure the disease, and they are all natural methods that do not include adding more cancer or toxic materials into the body. When people organize a donation or charity in regards to finding a cure for cancer, they should in turn be educating everyone on the known cures that exist. Instead, the money raised goes towards the industry and establishment that is giving them cancer in the first place. Some of these cures and ailments, and perhaps the most widely used by those who are aware of them, include the oils extracted from cannabis plants, dietary changes and the Gerson therapy technique, orgone energy and the methods of Wilhelm Reich, mistletoe, and many others that are highly effective. Renee Case developed a cure for cancer called Esiac, which is her last name spelled backwards, and was offering the cure at a clinic that she operated in Northern Ontario in Canada. Her clinic was eventually shut down after she had cured thousands of patients because she wanted to make her cure available for free. However, the medical industry could not persuade her to sell her cure so that they could profit from the treatment, and her famous clinic was closed to the public. Another Canadian named Rick Simpson, who made the documentary Run from the Cure, has cured many people using cannabis oils, an all-natural substance, and because cannabis is considered a narcotic, it cannot be used to cure people of their illnesses, despite the widespread proof that exists showing that cannabis cures a massive list of diseases and illnesses. Again, the globalists in charge would rather choose profits over life, allowing millions to die from diseases they created. Cancers are attracted to sugars, which is why a majority of foods on the market are full of various sugars and carcinogens, like glucose and fructose, and countless other harmful substances that create these illnesses. There are often hard to pronounce chemicals and unnecessary substances added to the food supply, which has many people wondering why they are even added in the first place. Perhaps we are all guinea pigs in an experiment that has been going on for quite some time, in order to study the long-term effects and health risks associated with product use and food consumption.
Mr. Kramer, is the FDA monitoring seafood recovered from the Gulf for the presence of heavy metals present in crude oil?
We are not, no.
Are you monitoring for it right now?
And I would defer to NOAA to answer what has been done on this, but I wanted to mention that FDA is not, but the NOAA program we believe is a good sentinel program.
Let me go to NOAA then. It's because it's my understanding that compounds like mercury, arsenic, and other heavy metals that are present in crude oil have the ability to accumulate in the tissues of fish in levels that may cause harm, particularly to pregnant women and children. Has the FDA or NOAA here examined seafood for the presence of heavy metals?
Again, I'm going to defer to my colleagues at NIMS to answer that correctly, and we'll get back to you with an answer to that.
Been looking at fish that are right now inside the oiled areas.
No.
No. I think that is important for people, and I would recommend to you that you do some testing there. I think it's important for the public to know that inside the oiled area you're also doing testing, because people will be concerned that there could be some migration outside of that oiled area subsequently.
If you find all this hard to believe, we need only to take a look at the history of the use of cancer as a weapon. During the 1960s, it is known that the CIA, with the help of the Mafia, were attempting to find ways to assassinate Castro, And one of these methods was to develop a deadly cancer strain that killed the victim very quickly, as opposed to a prolonged process, or a method which could risk having the attention drawn to them as the perpetrators. They soon became aware of the work of Judith Berry Baker, a student who had developed a way to give cancer in 1 week. She was then brought to New Orleans to work on a top-secret program to develop a weaponized cancer strain. It was during this time that she met Lee Harvey Oswald, whom was also assisting with the cancer program, and as we all know, was set up as patsy in the murder of John F. Kennedy.
I'm just a patsy.
Just 2 days after his arrest, Lee Harvey Oswald was murdered by Jack Ruby, a known mob and globalist affiliate. This was done so that Lee could not speak out in regards to what he knew about the Kennedy assassination plot, as well as other sensitive materials like the cancer research program. After his arrest, authorities claimed that Jack Ruby became ill with pneumonia. However, it was soon discovered that he had lung cancer. He immediately became suspicious and claimed he had been injected by the cancer virus because he was fully aware of the cancer weapon program. It is widely believed that this cancer weapon has been used thoroughly on many occasions by the CIA to remove people without having it linked back to the agency or the cancer institutions.
I gave cancer to mice, lung cancer to mice in 7 days in my high school lab. That's why 2 Nobel Prize winners inspected it. That's why you had the Dr. Ochsner flew in to inspect my work, and after they looked at it, they said, "Wow, you did it. We haven't been able to do that in other labs, with millions of dollars." They closed my lab down because it was too dangerous. I had been assigned to try and make cancer more deadly. That's right in the newspapers. At one point, I objected to the use of prisoners who volunteered to be injected with this cancer-causing material we were working with. If it worked, they'd die. They weren't told that. And when I objected, I was kicked out of the cancer research community.
Because of several threats to her life, she did not speak publicly about what she had been involved in, but has since come forward with her story in a book called Me and Lee, How I Came to Know and Love Lee Harvey Oswald. Another book by Edward Haslam called Dr. Mary's Monkey also collaborates the details of the top-secret cancer program, in where millions of people all over the world were injected with a deadly monkey virus that was put into the mandatory polio vaccine that was administered. Both of these books are highly recommended for further investigation.
Well, this virus that causes cancer, we have an epidemic right now, and if you look at the book, it's called Dr. Mary's Monkey. It'll tell you how we were working in New Orleans with the SV40 monkey virus, trying to do, first of all, it started with this contaminated polio vaccine. They knew it was contaminated. They had a shelf upon shelf, box upon box of it, stacks upon stacks. And they said, we're going to give it to the American people, and we're going to give it to people in Russia, and we're going to give it to people in Europe anyway. For anyone out there who thinks that cancer couldn't be cured by now, you're wrong. Okay, you've been sold a bill of goods. It's so profitable to treat cancer. It's so unprofitable to cure it. And you're not going to see people who run hospitals that are run for profit, for example, going ahead and lose their customers. It's horrible what's happened. By the end of the 1960s, we could have been able to cure cancer, many different kinds of cancer. Instead, we're using primitive medieval methods, rip it out, burn it out, chemo it out. And frankly, that's not the way to get rid of cancer. There are many other ways that won't hurt you, but my God, they're much cheaper.
I thought I would play that for you guys. I thought I'd play that whole domino cancer clip for you guys from NWO, Domino Effect. I know I did discuss a lot of that stuff already in the broadcast, but I figured I'd play it all for you just in case there's anything that I might have missed. And it was only about 10 minutes or so, that clip. So there's a lot of important information in there, as well as the authentic clips. As you saw, the FDA, I mean, not only will these the AMA and the FDA and all these companies that are the alphabet soup companies that were started for profit, by the way, the reason why that they won't promote cures and they won't provide the funding to patent them and to get them out there, not only is because they'll lose their customers and they won't be able to cure or they won't be able to profit from it, but also they're not checking the substances that are giving people cancer. It's purposely being done. It's plain as day. It's right in front of our faces, right there for us to find and discover. I mean, it's pretty disgusting. That's why I thought it was so important to cover this, the worldwide cancer scheme, on this episode, because quite frankly, something needs to be done. It's like we're living in the 40s or 50s or something, with the mentality that some of the world, not all, there's a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope for the future that people will be able to spread this information, get the information out there, and make this a bit more important of a subject than it currently is. I mean, that's pretty serious. CNN, NBC, CBC, all these alphabet soup news agencies should be covering on their news stories about the cures for cancer and how it's being suppressed by the medical industry, but they wouldn't do that either. Just like the medical industry won't promote the cure. Same reasons, same people, same nefarious entities doing this. This is essentially the New World Order happening, and it's unfolding right before our eyes. And unfortunately, there is a lot of victims to the New World Order. And I would say just 20 years ago, you didn't have to worry so much about what you were eating. You didn't have to worry so much about what you were drinking or what you were breathing in. There's all sorts of things that you didn't really have to worry about. But now, definitely, you got to be careful with what you do, definitely. And it's pretty sad when there's no ethics, there's no standards for safety, for our safety, for public safety, for public health. There is nothing. There's an invisible barrier there that we see. I mean, they're supposed to be protecting us from this and that. You could go to your doctors and say, yeah, but it's all in the food, it's in the food that I eat, it's in the water I drink, it's in the air I breathe, it's everywhere. Like, you spray on some cologne and you're breathing in carcinogens that is going to give you lung cancer. You could go and tell your doctor that, and they would just say, yeah, I know, you just got to stay away from that stuff. I mean, come on. What is wrong with that? You just got to stay away from that stuff. Even the doctors know about this stuff. Everyone knows about this stuff. Yeah, you got to stay away from bad foods, otherwise you're going to get sick. Well, I ask you this. Why then do we even have those foods in the first place? Why would these companies be allowed to put it out in the first place to make people sick unless there was an agenda behind it? And then you could check out Quiet Weapons for Silent Wars. Check out that document. It's available online for free, PDF file. Download it, read it, check it out. There's all sorts of these documents that I could show you guys that explain it. I've went through them in previous broadcasts. You guys know that it's out there, that this is being done on purpose for nefarious purposes and reasons. And that's why I'm so adamant and passionate about getting this information out there and trying to make a difference by doing these videos and these live broadcasts and discussing these topics and subject matters, because it really could save people's lives. And that's really what we need to do. We should be helping each other. The doctors should even be advocating against unhealthy food. I know they do. They have campaigns where they try to get healthier foods in schools for the kids to eat at their lunches so that they're not eating toxic foods and harmful foods. But at the same time, there's so many other outlets for this bad material to invade and get put into our lives. And there's not enough being done to expose it and to repel it and essentially extinguish it from existence. Because that's what we need to do here, folks. We need to extinguish these threats and these elements from our society. We need to eradicate them, to ban them, to abolish these practices and these programs. And unfortunately, a lot of these programs are directly connected to the alphabet soup infrastructure. And the alphabet soup infrastructure is a term I've been saying throughout my broadcast. For anybody who's not aware of what that is, that's the CIA, the FBI, the FDA, all those alphabet soup organizations that are created, and they receive funding. For each of these groups, they receive government funding. That's why they do it. It's a big scam. It's a big scandal. Look it up. In the 50s, President Trudeau, was it? I believe it was. I believe that's who it was. Anyways, he was signing all these new agencies to come into play. The American Cancer Society, all these alphabet soup groups were formed, and each year more and more are formed. And these become the big name leaders in the industry for food inspection, for safety inspection, for creating the food, for providing public services and safety, like law enforcement, etc. There's all sorts of avenues that these alphabet soup groups are created out of. But at the same time, when the budget comes out every year or every couple years from the federal government, that's when these groups will receive their funding for the year. They're allotted a certain amount of money from the government, from the higher infrastructure, and that's how they operate. They say they're NGOs, non-government organizations, not-for-profit groups, but they do receive funding from the government to exist, and that's why that nothing's being done about this. Why? Because they don't want to lose their funding, and they have an agenda behind them, and this agenda is to harm you. It is to kill you, slow kill you, not quick kill. It's not like dropping an atom bomb on an entire city and destroying everybody instantaneously. No, it's slow kill. It's slow, painful death. And as I explained in the beginning of the broadcast, my grandfather, watching him sit in his chair, dying at home, rotting from the inside out from the cancer that was eating away at him, and just knowing that he couldn't even defecate on his own. He had to sit there and have it come up through his stomach, out his mouth. That is disgusting, and that is why I'm so angry about the cancer industry and the medical industry, because they just turn their back on you. They will let you do that. They will let you sit there in your own feces and filth and rot and die. And they will do this for a buck, for blood money. That's what it is. It's blood money. All money is blood money. I don't care what it is. I don't care what you're doing. You're passing. You're buying this, you're buying that. Well, the money comes from sources, and these sources are the biggest criminals on the planet. And these alphabet soup agencies are definitely the biggest scheme artists in our century, of our time. Any doctor out there, any doctor who could challenge what I'm saying in this documentary and say, yes, there is no such thing as a natural cure, you're full of it, you've gone off the deep end, I dare you to challenge me with this. You can't. Why? Because you know the truth, and you're being a scumbag. You are being a weak coward by going back to your doctor's offices and not releasing these natural cures to the people to help them out and make them better. No. Why? Because you want them to be sick. And that is disgusting. All you doctors watching this, all you people that work in hospitals, nurses, assistants, all you people involved in the medical industry that are allowing this to happen every day, shame on you. You are the problem. You are the cause of the problem. You have to stop doing this. You have to address this problem. Because if you don't, many more will die every single day. And it will be your own family members and perhaps yourself one day that becomes a victim to this tyrannical system that calls itself the healthcare establishment. Sorry for ranting all emotional like that, but I'm telling you, it disgusts me. It twists my stomach inside out to know that these people for money will do this. For a piece of paper, people will kill each other for money. They will stab you in the back. They will steal every cent you have just to profit. They will rip off your work. They will do anything they can to suck you dry for the money you have. Why? Because everybody needs money to get by. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people need money to be able to buy food, to be able to have shelter, to be able to pay their rent, to be able to do whatever you want in life. You need money. And when people aren't being cured because of money, when there's children starving in Africa because of money, because they just won't fund them, they won't give them the money to reduce the population and all that stuff, when you have the FDA not checking the food supply for carcinogens, for harmful substances after the BP oil spill, when you have all these companies, these corporate scumbags doing this for money, don't you start to see the bigger picture. You start to see what the cause of the problem is. And it's not only money, but it's also ethics. And these doctors and these people in our healthcare establishment in today's day and age have none, because they're hiding the truth. They're withholding it from you on purpose so that they can keep their jobs, so that they can make money. The root of all evil, folks, is money. But it's also twisted, psychotic, people that have contagious apathy. They don't say anything. They're too lazy. They sit there and they don't do anything about it. They'll let it take them. They'll let it take other people as long as it's not them, as long as it's not their son or their daughter or their mother that's dying from this illness, then it's okay. Because if they know the truth, they can help them out, right? That's selfish, that's egotistical, and that's disgusting in my books. And for anybody watching out there, help save a life. That's all I got to say. When you see these run for the cure programs, you see the Easter Seals telethon, call them and tell them straight up what you know. Look it up. Get some information. Look up Renee Case. Look up Rick Simpson. Look up all these the Huxley, and look up Gerson therapy. Look up all these proven ways to cure cancer and to get rid of this epidemic. And look how it's being suppressed. And go there with that information as your ammunition. And we got to win this battle, folks, because if we don't win this battle, it's just going to get worse. They're going to be poisoning us harder. It'll go from soft kill techniques to hard kill techniques in a matter of no time. It'll happen overnight before we could even stop it. So we got to start now. We all got to work together. We all got to expose the worldwide cancer scheme. And I think that's enough ranting for me for the day before I get too overwhelmed. I think I've mentioned a lot of things in this broadcast that'll hopefully help you out. And I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank the people that were able to connect this broadcast in the chat room. I know we're on and off and we got disconnected a few times. So I do apologize for that. I'm going to try to figure out what happened there after the broadcast. But at the same time, I definitely really got to thank all you listeners out there for tuning in and for checking out all the videos that I post and all the broadcasts I do. Also, don't forget to check out thetruthbroadcastnetwork.com for other shows and other broadcasters that are doing this same kind of thing, online internet activism, doing a show, whether it's nightly, weekly, whatever they're doing. They're trying to get the truth out. And also for anybody who has Roku, which is something you plug into your TV and you can tune into channels on the internet. Check out conspiracyhq.com. They are now playing episodes of Unveiling the Truth on Roku. You can check that out, as well as episodes of the reality show I'm doing, March of Freedom. So you could tune into Roku. You can check out the show that way. For anybody, just Conspiracy HQ on Roku. So those are the sources. Truth Broadcast Network, live every Saturday night, Unveiling the Truth. Check it out. Also, for anybody who missed the broadcast, who wants to check out older ones, go on Roku, check out conspiracyhq.com. And if you don't have Roku, just go on their website. You could check it out. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Until next time, let's make a difference, folks. Let's end this worldwide cancer scheme once and for all. Cheers. There comes a time in everyone's life where we must face the truth. But what is the truth? Did existence really begin with the Big Bang? Is what we've been taught in our history books some sort of fictional reality? It's hard to find the truth in a world full of lies. However, we do have the strength within us to find the truth, to unveil it, and present it to the world for what it really is. It's your world, your reality, your truth.